Okay, shalom, gentlemen. Chapter 23, Perek Kaf Gimel. We're going to be using ourselves to a very deep level. This is for sure up there in the top three most difficult prakim of Tanya. But it's meditational. It's really it's called Hisboinenus. We're going to be doing deep Hisboinenus together. Okay, so you really need to be free of distraction, and it's not going to be easy, and it's going to be frustrating. But I hope we're going to get it. I really do. I really, really do. B'ezrat Hashem. Okay, so we've just completed chapter 20, 21, 22, which were basically one unit that just basically said Hashem Echad. There's nothing other than Hashem. Yeah, you think you're something, you're mistaken. Yeah, your agenda, all the things that you care about that aren't Torah and mitzvahs are just illusional, delusional, not real. Okay, that's what it means. Hashem Echad. Hashem Echad doesn't mean idolatry doesn't mean I don't believe in God. Idolatry means I believe in myself, at least a little bit. There's something else. That God is the God of gods. He's for sure in charge, but there's my agenda also. My agenda also. So we left off basically having determined that that's the Metzias Hashem Echad is not just a platitude, it's not just a poetic nicety, it's a description of reality mamash, yeah? Hashem Echad, Ein Sheni, including you. Okay, so now the Rebbe gets in, busy. Chapter 23 is explaining to us the mechanics of what happens when we do mitzvahs and when we learn Torah. And we're going to see how learning Torah is a deeper connection than doing mitzvahs. However, doing mitzvahs is pretty deep. Okay, so before we jump in, let's just quickly clarify an idea of the idea of halbasha, of something being mislabesh in something else. What does it mean that something becomes enclothed or something enclothes something? Al pi Chasidus, al pi Kabbalah. So, enclothing something, meaning the thing that becomes enclosed. Well, think of it just like this. These are our clothes, yeah? And my clothes move because of my body. So the thing that is being enclosed is what not motivates, is what energizes the thing that is in clothing. The clothes are, it's annoying because I'm getting all the adjectives backwards in my head. What is enclosed, the thing inside the clothes, is energizing the clothes. That's what it means for something to be enclosed in something else. For example, your midas, your emotions, become enclosed in your behavior, meaning your emotions motivate and energize your behavior. We clear on that?
I thought Malbushim were a little bit also. They were the midos. They were what aren't the midos the Malbushim themselves?
Well, no. The basic way when we speak about a levush, we're talking about behavior, but we're not talking about behavior right now. I'm talking about a relationship. So the mashpia makabel relationship, zocher nekeva, yeah, that is obviously husband and wife. But then the wife becomes mashpia to the children. So it's a relationship, it's fluid, it's relative. So we're not talking about actual clothing as in the behavior, we're talking about the concept of a intention motivating something else. So for example, you go and buy I don't know, a sefer, your desire to buy the sefer becomes enclosed in the action of buying the sefer. That's where you're going to understand it. This is if we get this clear, then everything hopefully will fall into place. This is a very, very important idea. Yeah. So the thing that is enclosed is the motivating factor, that what energizes the clothing. Okay. Okay. So mitzvahs, I just want to put on my mazgan. And I just want to grab a glass of water. Okay. The mitzvahs are called the Ivrin de Malka, the limbs of the king. Torah, we say Oiraisa v'kudsha baruch kol echad. Torah and Hashem is one, but the mitzvahs are called the Ivrin de Malka, the limbs of the king. Now, it's important to get this clear, that you are not your limbs. A person, lo aleinu, chas v'shalom, can lose a hand or a leg. Yeah, he hasn't been diminished as a person. He lost a hand or a leg. It's like, losing a car, just it's a little closer to you. Something that you have, it's not who you are. So the mitzvahs are called the limbs of the king. Remember, you have to hold with me, okay? We're going to build. And we can't, if you drop any pieces of the binyan, then you might as well just go home and try and catch the rerun. What was it that caused Hashem to create creation? What's the motivating factor? Why did God make creation?
So to do good for tzaddikim and to punish Rishon.
Okay, I'm gonna retract that I asked that question, because there's lots of things we could say. My real question is, what am I thinking about? Why did God create? No, so
You feel gracious.
So
You feel gracious for the Torah.
Yeah, there you go. That's the answer that I was looking for. Yeah, Hashem created the world so that his mitzvahs could be fulfilled. See, we've got it backwards. We think that because there's grass and cows and ink, that we can wear tefillin, but that's not how it is. It's because there's a mitzvah of tefillin. Now there's grass and cows and ink. The mitzvahs are what cause the world to be. So now when we plug it into the levushim thing, it comes out that the mitzvahs are the panemius ratzon, and creation is the levush. Mitzvahs motivated Hashem's act of creation. So the mitzvahs are called panemius ratzon. What's the difference between panemius ratzon and chetzonius ratzon?
And one is a means to an end, and one is the end itself.
Baruch Hashem. Yes. So panemius ratzon means it's something you want in its own right. You want to go skiing, yeah. The skiing is panemius ratzon, yeah. The aeroplane ride to France is chitzonius ratzon. You don't really want to do that, but you have to, so that you can fulfill your panemius ratzon. So the panemius ratzon of creation is the mitzvahs, and creation becomes a halbosha over that. Everyone's with me? Now, therefore, this is a very, very subtle point, okay? We've got the mitzvah and we've got the Maisa mitzvah. Let's just talk about matzah. There's no matzah is not a mitzvah. A Jew eating matzah on Pesach is a mitzvah. Matzah is just flour and water. The mitzvah is the Jew eating matzah on Pesach. That's called the Maisa mitzvah. There's the chomer of the mitzvah, which in that case is the water, the flour, the teeth, the palate. There's the things of the mitzvah, the chomer of the mitzvah, but then there's the Maisa mitzvah, which is a much more abstract thing. So now, if the Ratzon Hashem, the mitzvahs are the panemius, are the Ratzon Pnimi, the Pnimius Ratzon of creation, which is the Levush. When we do mitzvahs, the Maisa mitzvah, the actual act of the mitzvah, becomes infused or merged with the Pnimius. It becomes a levush on that Pnimius, on the Pnimius Ratzon of the Ribbono Shel Olam. The Ribbono Shel Olam wants the mitzvah. The Maisa mitzvah is, in a sense, a means to an end, the end being the mitzvah. It's a very subtle point. So the Maisa mitzvah becomes, it's called a levush panimi on the Pnimius Ratzon. So the whole world is called Chitzonius Ratzon. That's the physicality of this world. The Pnimius Ratzon is the desire for the mitzvah. And that means the actual Maisa mitzvah of the Yid becomes a levush panimi on the Pnimius Ratzon. It's closer to the Ratzon Hashem than is the physical things of this world, much closer. But it's not the Ratzon Hashem. The Ratzon Hashem is that the mitzvah. You're just doing the mitzvah.
But what's a Maisa mitzvah? What's an example of a Maisa mitzvah?
The Maisa mitzvah is the actual act of the mitzvah, which means, in regards to matzah on Pesach, it would be eating matzah on Pesach. That's a Maisa on an abstract level. That's a Maisa mitzvah.
And you're saying that's a levush. That's
a levush panimi. The levush
because the real panimi is the Ratzon.
Exactly. The panemius, the real panimi is Hashem's taiva for the mitzvah.
And therefore the Maisa is just a chitzona on the panimi.
Exactly. The Maisa mitzvah is now the closest thing to that. But then you've got the next level, which is actually the chomer of the mitzvah, the stuff of the mitzvah. Let's forget about the mitzvah. Let's forget about the actual Maisa mitzvah again. So you've got Hashem has a desire for a mitzvah. And we just said that that's why the whole world got created. The reason why there's cows is because of tefillin. So what's Pnimius Ratzon? What's Chetzonius Ratzon? Pnimius Ratzon is tefillin. Chetzonius Ratzon is the cow. That's the levush. That's the furthest levush on that inner Ratzon. So now,
is it correct to say that, in other words, because we see ourselves as different from the tefillin, right? We look at it as like, okay, Hashem wants me to do the mitzvah, but in fact, Hashem wants this mitzvah to be done. You're just coming in and making it happen.
You want to look at it, this is a very good way. We're going to explain this. I'll explain this now. It's a very good way of looking at it, yeah? A mitzvah requires 4 coordinates, okay? 4 coordinates are time, space, energy, and matter. It's really, if you want to be really, really cool, it's actually without matter's just an illusion. So it's really just Ashan, which is Olam, Shan, and Nefesh. But for our part, we're going to call it time, space, energy, matter. Yeah, every mitzvah, if you wanted to create a table, a massive table, and plug in every mitzvah and assess the time, space, energy, matter parameters of every single mitzvah, you would end up with the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch is the discussion of the time, space, energy, matter of every mitzvah. That is what a mitzvah is. A mitzvah is a specific combination of time, space, energy, matter. So, for example, eating matzah, the time is the 15th of Nisan. Space, makom is weird. Makom's not, since Churban Beis Hamikdash, it's not so. But let's just say not in the bathroom. But makom's kind of, let's just say you can do it anywhere, basically. Yeah. So we got time, 15th of Nisan, makom anywhere. Energy. The Jew. It needs a Jew to eat matzah. A goy eating matzah on Pesach is not a mitzvah. Yeah. And the chomer is the matzah, the flour and the water. You got me? You could go through every single mitzvah like that, and that would give you the Shulchan Aruch. So now think of it like this: you don't do a mitzvah, you become a chelik of the mitzvah. Just like you need flour for the mitzvah of matzah, you need the energy of a yid. You need a Jewish mouth and a Jewish boch. That you become a chelik of the mitzvah. You shouldn't look at it as you're doing the mitzvah. That's very babyish and egocentric. You become a chelik of the mitzvah. You merge with the mitzvah. So that becomes what's called the levush panimi on the Ratzon, on the panemius Ratzon Hashem. Is everyone with me now? We've got the Ratzon Hashem, which is the desire for the mitzvah. Then we've got the actual mitzvah being done. That's the levush panimi. And then what's the levush chitzoni? Is the actual stuff.
Thank you.
Is the actual stuff of the mitzvah, the actual flour and water and teeth. Okay. So now you become the relationship of the Maisa mitzvah, to the desire for the mitzvah, is comparable to a guf and a neshama. If a person is healthy, he doesn't need to command his guf. It's done. It's essential. It's immediate. There is no. The guf is bottled to the neshama. The guf is, we better say, the guf is bottled to the nefesh. The guf is completely bottled to the nefesh. The nefesh wants to pick up the cup and drink. Before you know it, you've picked up the cup and you're drinking. The ratzon of the nefesh becomes immediately manifest in the guf. Everyone's with me? So the ratzon of the nefesh becomes immediate manifest in the guf. Doesn't that just sound like what we spoke about? The ratzon Hashem is manifest in my Maisa mitzvah, in me becoming a chelik of the mitzvah, of the Maisa mitzvah, which is the coordinates, that precise coordinates of Ashen. Just as a side point, you should know that modern physics has caught up with how we speak about Ashen, yeah? Olam Shana Nefesh. Everyone's heard those three things before, yeah? No, it's Olam Shana Nefesh, time, space, and consciousness. What about matter? Because we know that matter is just an illusion of consciousness, like they know in this generation anyway. But anyway, that's a different topic. So anyway, so we've got those four coordinates of time, space, energy, matter. That is the Maisa mitzvah according to the halacha, and that is like a membrane, so to speak, over the Ratzon Hashem, over the Panemius Ratzon Hashem, his innermost desire, which is the mitzvah, the innermost desire. And that's just like the relationship of your of your nefesh to the of the nefesh to the guf. The guf is completely nullified to the nefesh, to the point where you're not, like, I know I always thought as a kid, it's like you send a message from your head to your hand to do whatever. But al pi Torah, we understand that it's the ratzon, the actual ratzon of the nefesh that causes the guf to do its things. So this is my ratzon bringing my cup to my mouth. So my ratzon is expressing itself through my guf, and there's no break. There's no what's the word? Not loose. There's no
latency.
There's no broken telephone, is what I was trying to. There's no gap. There's no difference. That's called a makova. That's called a makova. Your car is a makova. Your car is responsive to you. I mean, it depends what kind of car you got. I've had cars that weren't responsive to me. Cars in LA are probably responsive to their drivers, no? Generally. So now that's the relationship, and that's why mitzvahs are called Ivrin de Malka. They're not him, they're the Ivrin de Malka. The Maisa mitzvah is the Ivrin de Malka. We'll see it clearly. If you don't understand that, we'll see it clearly when we understand why Torah in him is called one. But so the question is, does Hashem really want the mitzvah? Avadai, he really wants the mitzvahs. What are the mitzvahs in this world in regards to, like, we've got matzah and what do I mean? Matzah and tefillin and all these different things. I don't know if we need to say that. And maybe we'll go back to let's keep going. That's a little bit off. Let's try and stay on track. So let's just quickly summarize what we've just said now. Mitzvahs are the pneumius ratzon of Hashem. Just like you want to go skiing, or whatever, he wants mitzvahs. Or just like you like pleasure, just like you want pleasure, or like you want to live. This is the best one. Just like you want to live, which is a reasonless desire. And we need to know that very deeply. By the way, that's the same reason why you want to get married. There's no reason why you want to get married. Same reason why you want to have children. There's no reason why you want to have children. You might attach reasons to having children. You might attach reasons to getting married. But you want to get married and you want to have children because that's you. Like we've said many times, turn around to the sun and say to him, why are you shining? He'll look at you like, what are you talking about? I'm the sun. That's what I do. So why do you want to live? And people will start thinking, well, but it's not true. The reason why you want to live is there is no reason why you want to live. You want to live. Reasons flow from that, but that's reasonless. But so too with the most fun, like basically everything that animals do are reasonless. There's no reason. That's called teva. That's nature. That's just like the sun shines. You want to have children. Okay, so the Hashem's, like, you want to live, Hashem desires the mitzvah for whatever reason, which there isn't. That's Hashem. Maybe I should say this now. I'm going to say this very quickly, okay? But it's a side point, but it's very amazing. The idea of if a guy cares deeply about time, I think we mentioned this before, I'm going to say it again. A guy has a genuine, he really cares about time, The guy doesn't like to, he can't bear wasting a second. Okay, so I just came up with 5 different things that might manifest itself as. Okay, he invests in a high-speed internet and a very fast computer. He wears slip-on shoes as opposed to laced shoes. He buys a fuel-efficient car with a large gas tank. He invests time in learning keyboard shortcuts that nobody else does. And he blocks social media on his telephone. Or even better, he smashes his phone. Either way. Those 5 behaviors are an expression of a single thing of his. You with me? So let's just say he is all about saving time. That's who he is. Now that expresses itself in these 5 different behaviors: quick internet, slip on shoes, etc. So we can look at mitzvahs in that way as well. Hashem is an or pashut. He's not even an or pashut. He's echad. You can say that. He's echad. So how can you have all these different desires? That's how it manifests in the world. So anyway, Hashem's inner will, his truest desire is mitzvahs, just like our truest desire is to live. His truest desire is mitzvahs. So he created this entire world with grass and sky and everything else in this world, yeah? So there's the inner, there's the panemius ratzon, which is the mitzvah. Then there's the chitzonius, the levush chitzoni, which is the stuff of this world. And then there's the levush panimi, which is the maisa mitzvah. That's the levush panimi on the panemius ratzon. So we've got like 3 levels. We've got him himself. Then we've got the actual maisa mitzvah. And then we've got the things of this world. When we take the things of this world and we draft them into mitzvah activity, we're bringing them from that outer level and we're fusing them. We're bringing them to touch Hashem. They go from being the most external level to touching the most inner level. And that's called a makava, which is also called a limb. You fill your body, but you are not your body. This is the mitzvahs. This is Hashem's relationship to the mitzvahs. That's why they're called the limbs of the king. We're clear?
What was the word that you said? How do you say that in?
Ivrin de Malka. Like
Ivrin de Malka.
Ivrin de Malka. Okay. Now we're going to switch gear. So that's the gewaldigness of doing mitzvahs. When you do mitzvahs, your levush chitzoy, your levush of maisa, your ability to do, your ability to act, becomes fused with the mitzvah, like we said. You become a chelik of the maisa mitzvah, and that becomes like a body for God, so to speak. Just like when your hand gives tzedakah to someone, your hand is fused with you. Your hand is responsive to you. That's what you are when you do the mitzvah. You've become a limb of God, a limb of the Rebbeinu Shalom Mamash. That's called the Ivrin de Malka.
What about Lysa says?
Let's not go there. That's more complicated, and we'll talk about that next week as well. Great question.
Okay.
That's Perek Kaf Dalet. And it is basically the opposite. Okay. So mitzvahs are called Ivrin de Malka, but Torah is called Oraisa v'Kudsha Brecha Kul Echad. Hashem and Torah is one. So when you're doing the mitzvah, there's you doing the mitzvah. You and the mitzvah. Or there's you and Ratzon Hashem. You become the mitzvah. Let's say there's you and Ratzon Hashem. There's the one serving and the one being served. Now you're like a car, you're like a makava, you're like a limb, you're bottle, you're transparent, you're toffel to the Ratzon Elyon, but there's still you and Ratzon Elyon. Masha'ain came b'Torah. With Torah, it's not a relationship of bittul. It's a relationship of echad. It's a yichud. Bittul is not a yichud. Bittul is a bittul. I become subservient, secondary, transparent to X. That's not a yichud. A yichud is when two things merge, mamash. So now, when we learn Torah, the Torah is the Ratzon Hashem. The Torah becomes melubush in the Maisa Mitzvah. So you eat the matzah. You're eating the matzah. But there's a distraction. What's the distraction? The matzah. The Maisa Mitzvah is a shtickle distraction. It's a duck machitza between you and the Rebbeinu Shloim. But the actual halacha of eating the matzah, that's him mamash. That's him mamash. So when your mind is thinking these thoughts, you've merged mamash. We've got a beautiful moshel in our generation. I believe the Balatanya would mamash dance on the table if he heard this moshel. I mean, he probably knew it anyway, but everyone knows how computers work a little bit. I mean, I don't, but like it works on on-off switches, yeah? It's called binary form. Everything is just basically an endless series of on-off switches. Every picture you see, every pixel, every letter you see is like millions of on-off switches. On, off, on, off, on, off. Yeah? So now listen to this, because this is really going to help us understand this. Let's just say, I'm making this up because I don't know binary, but I'm just making up, yeah? So you've got two switches. One is off and one is on, yeah? And that gives you the number 1. If both of them are on, it gives you the number 2. Again, I think I'm making this up, but it doesn't really matter. Now, if you put a third switch in, 2 of them are on and 1 of them are off, that gives you a number 3, etc. Yeah, you get the idea? Now, that means that the configuration of the hardware and the information itself is the same thing. The way the hardware is actually configured, on, off, on, off, on, off, equals a picture of me. So the picture of me is the information. That picture of me is created by the on, off, on, off, on, off. And if I was to flick one of those switches, it would not be a picture of me anymore. The information and the hardware is one. It's like protein. It's like proteins. No one knows anything about proteins. The way they fold and their structure is what they do. The way they look is what they do. That's basically what proteins are, which is the same as malachim from the parsha this week. The way their name is their shlichus. That's what they are. Their name is their shlichus. This is the same idea. So the way the configuration of the hardware is the actual information itself. So when the information comes into your mind is configured by definition the way the information is configured. That's the yichud of you and the Rebbeinu Shloim, at least your levush of machshava and the Rebbeinu Shloim and the nefesh rakis when you're learning Torah. It's not a makava. It becomes one mamash. Okay, we'll try again. We're gonna try again.
But can I ask you a question? Is it come out that the mitzvah itself is also just a means to an end?
I wish you didn't ask me that question. So you can't say that, but it's kind of true in a sense. It's a levush panimi. So it's not the Torah is the end. The reason why it's not a means to an end is because it is a manifestation of that desire. It's not like you have to get on the airplane to get to France to ski. It's the desire for the mitzvah manifests itself as the Maisa mitzvah. So it's
Got
not
it.
means to end, but the mitzvah is further from Hashem in a sense. This is just right now. We're going to learn other things that show us that it's actually more important. But right now, in this sense, the mitzvah is a little bit further from Hashem than the Torah, because the mitzvah is the expression of the Torah in this world. So there's that subtle distraction of the chomer of the world, or at least of the Maisa Mitzvah of the world, at least of the Maisa Mitzvah, where the Torah is the Torah. Hashem said this is Pata or Mutter or Zakai. That's it. That's it. The thing itself is more removed, but the thought, the actual din, that it's Pata or Mutter or Kasha or Zakai, that's the Rebbeinu Shloim. Do you realize what this means for us when we're learning Torah? Now, this is where the Rebbe brings it all down in his usual Lamaisa. The way he brings it down, Lamaisa, is be misboining on this, and you will be in a very different state whenever you open up a sefer. Meaning, not that you're going to be going like, with all fire coming out your head and stuff, yeah? But you'll be in reverence. You'll be treating the Torah to put it, people, the questions asked, why do we stand when the Sefer Torah gets carried from the ark to the bimah, yeah? The questions, how is it that you don't fall on your face? That's the real question. You should fall on your face and start screaming Hashem Elokim, Hashem Elokim, and not be able to move again. The only reason why that doesn't happen is because of our deep relationship with our body, which is the way we see the world. But the Torah's...
So if only we could be Makayim these mitzvahs without the Maisa. If only. No, I'm saying, isn't that what you're saying? Like if
No, I'm not. I didn't say that. Because
that's
because we're learning the taiva. The taiva is a dir b'tachtoinim. She wants to come into the lowest place, which is dafka through the Maisa mitzvah. We're missing some information.
But essentially, the purest form of the mitzvah is the mitzvah itself, and not the Maisa.
No, the deepest bond with Hashem is through learning Torah. But Hashem wants more than that. He wants the Maisa mitzvah. So it's kind of paradoxical, because like learning Torah is for you, doing mitzvahs is for him.
What is the Pirkei Avos that says one who learns but doesn't do the Maisim or something, right? So the Maisim are
throughout all of
Maisim Ikar.
He says it also. That's the point. Hashem wants a dir b'tachtoinim. Hashem wants to come into the levush of this world, and that comes through the Maisa Mitzvah, not through the Limud Torah, Bichlal, not Bichlal, because like speaking.
It's the same idea of Avram being mevatel his devekis with Hashem to greet Hachnach Hasorchem. That's the whole idea. Is it's not about devekis. It's about. I mean, forget. It's real devekis.
Yes. And the ironic thing is that although the merging is ultimate with Limud Torah, and it's not an ultimate merging, it's a bittul with a Siyasa Mitzvah. With a Siyasa Mitzvah, you're being Makayim his Ratzon on a deeper level, and that's more fulfilling to him. So it's like you're in the relationship for him, not for you. And that's called a relationship. That's a real relationship when it's about him. It's not about me. But without Torah, there's no mitzvah. So it's and I could argue for 10 hours about how Torah is much more than mitzvahs. I could argue for 10 hours how mitzvahs is more than Torah. And you should be having this argument with people all the time. Mamash, engage them in that. That gives Hashem a huge nachas when you didn't argue about what's greater Torah and mitzvahs than who's more evil, Hamas or ISIS. He gets much more nachas from the first argument. Much more nachas. That's
do we have a heter? Do we have a heter to throw punches?
So it's even bigger. All of this is bigger than tefillah as well. I'm not going to get into that too much now, but basically, this is the Torah is called the Soviv Kwarmin, the Or HaSoviv. Hashem, Hashem. We're not talking about there's so many levels that we're talking about here, okay? But the level that the Torah brings of Hashem into this world is a level that if that light came into the world would immediately just be obliterated. Pardon me. Even the higher worlds, all of the worlds. So the higher worlds also get their chiyas through Torah. It's only in this world where you can actually merge with Torah. All of the higher worlds are getting their energy from the Torah. Whereas in this world, we're talking all of the highest worlds, forget Yetzirah and Bria, we're talking into the highest levels of Atzilus, yeah? They're getting their chiyas from the Torah. They just get their chiyas from the Torah. But if they were to actually be exposed to the Torah itself, they would be obliterated. Whereas in this world, we are able to touch the actual Torah itself. That's mind-blowing. That's passionate mind-blowing.
Is the Torah, this may sound silly, but is the Torah come through Tzimtzum? Obviously it has to, right? Because what you're saying is we wouldn't be able to...
yeah, everything comes in Tzimtzum, but it's compared to everything else, the Tzimtzum is like no Tzimtzum. But everything is with Tzimtzum. But but it's, for all intents and purposes, it's without Tzimtzum. For all intents and purposes.
What do you mean? The whole idea of cows and horses, goats, and the whole thing is Tzimtzum. That's the whole thing is a mushal.
Of what, the Torah?
Yeah, cows goring. It's white fire and black fire.
Yeah.
Black fire.
No, but the panemius of the Torah, that's all of its that's how it expresses itself in the Tzimtzum. But the Torah itself, I think, is what Yoel was referring to. The Torah itself, which is what, like in the Moshe we said about the guy who cares about time, how his caring for time translates as fast internet and slip-on shoes. So the Torah itself in this world translates as cows and telesim and all kinds of funny stuff, yeah? But the Torah itself, which is say it in a different way. That's called the Orsover. So that brings in this light, this light that ordinarily would just annihilate everything. We bring that light into creation through our Maisa Mitzvos and through our Limud Torah, but through our Limud Torah. Okay, so we'll finish off by just saying this. So by the end, the Rebbe basically says, if you're misboinen on this, the point of being misboinen in this is not to bring you to any kind of like white eye, flippy payer kind of experience, yeah? This is meant to give you tremendous respect for the Torah Kadosha. That's what this is meant to do for you. If you have all these experiences and you feel a fire and I don't know, all kinds of funny stuff can happen, yeah? Yeah, okay, great. Just make sure you don't lose respect for the Torah. Yeah, if a person's like going whatever and he knocks his chumash on the floor, or whatever it is because of that, yeah, then it wasn't worth it. this is meant to bring us to a deep reverence for the Torah Kedosha. It's not about flying in the Oilamos and experience. Experience is so low. It's connected to your senses. It's so funny because we're like plutzing for experience, yeah. But experience is in the world of a seer. It's like it's so much. It's like, yeah, it's cheap in like we've got access to things that are so beyond experience that couldn't it's like the Alter Rebbe's Moshe is the idea of trying to understand a mathematical equation with your hand. Isn't that what he's talking about? You don't use your hand to understand a mathematical equation. So too, you don't use your senses to experience God. How can you experience? That's if you do, it's like a slither of a teeny shard of a shard of a shard of a shard, keeps in that forever, of God. That's what you can experience with your goof. So this isn't about having some kind of out-of-body experience. This is about mamash coming to a genuine relationship with the Torah, how you should be relating to the Torah. Bezrat Hashem, we should all be. I'm talking to myself just as much here, maybe more. So then he finishes off. I pulled out a bit from the Gemara just to, he says that the im ein chochma ein yira, it says it actually backwards in the Mishnah, but there's this if ein yira ein chochma, the ein chochma ein yira, meaning you need a certain level of lower kind of fear to put you into doing the mitzvahs, and then the mitzvahs can bring you to a higher level of fear. But he says a really amazing thing. I'm going to read you a little bit of the Gemara from Yuma, okay, and we'll finish in a moment. Amar Rava, Kol Talmud Chacham she'ein toicha k'boiroi. Every Talmud Chacham who isn't one shtick, as in he's not what you see is what you get kind of thing, yeah? You're not a good guy. Ein a Talmud Chacham. Amar Abaye, v'teimer Rabba ba'ula, nikra nisav, he's disgusting. Shne'ema, afki nisav nelach, he's filthy, disgusting. Ish shoise kamayim avla, he's like drinking disgusting water. Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, my dichsiv, from the pasuk, lama ze mechir biyad kasil, liknois chachma v'leiv ayin. That why is this kasil like he's got money in his hand to buy chochma, but he doesn't have a heart? Yeah, so the Gemara explains. Listen to this. Oy lehem lesoinehem shel Talmidei Chachomim. Oy to the haters of Talmidei Chachomim, meaning these people who people who know Torah who aren't the real deal. Yeah. He says, "Oi" to the ones who hate Talmidei Chachomim, meaning them. Yeah, she'oiskim b'Torah v'ein behen yiras shamayim, that they're oisik in Torah and they don't have yiras shamayim. Machri Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yanai screams out. Listen to this. And this is from the Tanya in Perek Kaf Gimel. He brings it. No, he didn't get it from the Tanya. The Tanya quotes this. Chaval al deleisle data the Sarah. The ledate ovid chaval, that there isn't a courtyard, but he's got a door. That's what it's called. Learning Torah without yiras shamayim is called having a door, but without a courtyard for it to go to. It's just the door. So he says chaval al deleisle data, that they don't have a courtyard. V'sar ledate ovid, but they have a door. Amlahu Ravalu Rabbanan. B'matusa menaichu loy tati gehenim. It's like Haval, they have two Gehennims. They have Gehennim in this world, and they're going to have a Gehennim in the next world. So it says, Bereshis Bora Lokim, yeah? That's Rosh Hashanah's Baba. No, Bava Kama, Bava Basra, Bava Metzia, yeah? Bava means Shah, a gate. The Torah is the gate to Rabbeinu Shloim. That's why the Torah begins with the letter Beis, because the Torah is the gate. The Aleph is the or that's in the Torah. That's also why the Gemara begins with daf base. Every daf begins on base. Why? Because just because you've got that book open in front of you, that doesn't mean that you're touching the Rebbeinu Shloim. You have to put a lot of work into finding the Rebbeinu Shloim. He's the Aleph, the silent Aleph before the base, which is what our ASIC and Torah is all about. Getting back to the Aleph, Hashem. And then he finishes off the final thing. He says, and if for anybody in this year who didn't get any of that, yeah, which this took me to get over, and I hope I got it straight now, but to give this over has taken me hundreds of hours, literally, of going over the same stuff over and over and over again. So if you didn't get it, do not feel bad. And he says, Ein yira zoyma akeves boila maisa. Don't worry. If you didn't get any of this, it's not ma'akev l'maisa. Yeah, keep doing mitzvahs anyway. That's the ikka. Ikka is the maisa mitzvah. If you have the big hasagas and you can feel all this kind of stuff, that's great. But never lose track of the fact that ikka is the maisa mitzvah. And that is Perek Kaf Gimel.
Wow.
Any questions?
That was
I thought you were going to say it's okay if we don't get it because you want us. I mean, you want to serve Hashem Lishma. So
if you enjoyed it, if you got it and you enjoyed it, then you're giving to Hashem your oineg as well, which that's the biggest gift you can give him, to enjoy mitzvahs, to mamash be misaneg on mitzvahs. It's not the pleasure that you care about. It's the fact that you're giving Hashem the deepest, darkest part of Olam Hazeh, which is your oineg. The darkest part of Olam Hazeh, the least godly part of Olam Hazeh, is your personal oineg. So when you're enjoying the mitzvah, yeah, that's the reason why we want to be misaneg on the mitzvahs. Not for the oineg, because it's the ultimate korban that we can give to Rebbeinu Shloim.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I just want to ask it. What is considered Torah? So, in other words, a book about Hasidim, Maislach about Hasidim, and then you have a Hasidic Sefer on Kabbalah, and then you have Chumash Rashi, and then you have maybe a self-help book based on some Torah concept. Are those all Torah?
I can't answer. All I can say to you is like this, is that an apikoros could be speaking word for word Chumash, Gemara, Mishnayos, Gemara, everything. You didn't hear it. You didn't hear one teeper of Torah. Yeah, a tzaddik could be telling you what he ate for breakfast. Kulu Torah, Kulu Torah.
Wow.
I have a question.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. You did answer it.
I didn't hear the question, but the answer I'm confused by.
So the question was, what is considered Torah? Is a self-help book based on the Torah, Maislach on
great answer.
Tzadikim?
Great answer.
Yeah.
That's why. By the way, that's why that book, the what do I call it? Reclaiming Sanity book. It's the only, because if I would write some kind of book without any references to any psukim or any whatever, I wouldn't read that in the bathroom personally. I mean, I hope I'm not whatever. I hope that would be Torah, even if it didn't have any references to anything, kadosh. I would hope that would be Torah. So the only way of doing it was to pull out, actually take word for word the words of this guy, goy, and. I was thinking by the Echad Toli. Echad Toli is like Echad, but Talui, like Talui B'Dava. It's like it's Echad, but it's Talui. It's mamash the highest level of the highest level of good. That's just my.
Can we clarify? We were talking about if Yitzi and I were clarifying if